So good morning, everyone. I would like to call the October 15th, 2024 meeting of the Las Virgenes-Malibu Council of Governments Governing Board meeting to order. Will our Executive Director call roll?
Nico Gold.
Here.
Paul Grisante, Doug Stewart, absent. Kelly Honig.
Present.
Penny Sylvester.
Present.
President Weintraub.
Present. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes to the agenda? If not, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Penny Sylvester moves to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor? I'll
Aye.
have Terry call roll.
Nico Gold.
Aye.
Kelly Honig.
Aye.
Penny Sylvester.
Aye.
President Weintraub.
Aye. Wonderful, thank you. Public comment period. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the governing board? I don't see anyone. Terry, have you received any public comments electronically?
I have not.
Since we have no,
Terry, this is Steve.
Yes.
I just wanted to make that announcement about the PSAs, if that's okay.
Sorry, Steve. I wasn't sure when you were going to do the announcement.
Oh, I didn't know when I figured
This is perfect.
we'll
This is
take you now, Steve. Nice to see you.
Nice to see everybody. I just wanted to make an announcement for those of you that might be attending the California League of Cities conference that as we've done in the past, we have a room set up off of the conference for council members to do PSA announcements if their schedule allows. I know it's pretty tight with all the activities going on in the conference, but at least wanted to extend that invitation. I've sent out invitations via email to at least those council members that I was aware of who were planning on attending. But again, just to make the announcement to everybody on this call that we are taping PSAs tomorrow and on Thursday if your schedule allows you to swing by and just do a 30-second public service announcement. And that was it. Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Steve. Now we will move on to consent calendar. Consent calendar items will be approved in one motion unless removed for separate discussion or action. Would anyone like to remove an item from the consent calendar? Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, will the executive director call roll?
Nico Gold.
Aye.
Kelly Honig.
Aye.
Penny Sylvester.
Aye.
President Weintraub.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Now we are going to move on to information items, and we're going to start with the Santa Monica Mountains Fire Safe Council introduction. And I would like to call on Pauline Allen, who is the executive director. Welcome, Pauline.
Thank you. I'm gonna share screen here. Give me just 1 second. Oh, would you enable screen share?
Yeah. Yeah, hold on 1 second. There you go. You should be good.
Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Great. Okay. Thank you all for having us today. I am, as you said, Pauline Allen, the Executive Director of the Santa Monica Mountains Fire Safe Council. Today, I'm going to give a brief introduction to our organization and share some ways we can collaborate. There we go. So our service area includes the Santa Monica Mountains and the communities of Agoura Hills, Calabasas, Hidden Hills, Malibu, Westlake Village, and other unincorporated areas of Los Angeles County. We are a regional nonprofit and kind of an umbrella organization for existing smaller fire-safe councils. Our mission is to promote wildfire safety and community resilience in the Santa Monica Mountains through education, technical support, subject matter expertise, and community-driven action plans. Our three main programs that we offer are home ignition zone evaluations, community wildfire protection plans, and FireWise community support. These programs are initially funded by 2 CAL FIRE grants. One of our goals is to connect all of the amazing work already being done by fire safe councils and local organizations. We had our first community leaders meeting last week. And oftentimes these local fire safe councils are volunteer run and do not have the experience of grant writing. So we can help fill in the gaps and build resilience and capacity throughout the Santa Monica Mountains. We want to share information with all the residents, and in order to do that, partnerships are really key. So working with cities, fire safe councils, other partners at the local scale, and helping us have this huge regional outreach. And then at the neighborhood scale, we want to connect with FireWise communities. And we think that every neighborhood is a potential FireWise community. Here are some examples of collaboration opportunities at the city scale. We can support citywide CWPPs, and we're actually starting with Agoura Hills through one of our CAL FIRE grants. And so that's one example. We can also provide public presentations on topics such as FireWise, wildfire home hardening, defensible space, for any safety fairs or wildfire town halls. And additionally, we can provide educational materials for newsletters and tabling events, as well as helping with any home ignition zone evaluations, community walkthroughs, those things that relate to FireWise and otherwise. As I mentioned, our funding is initially coming from 2 CAL FIRE grants, and we've also been approved for some discretionary funds from Supervisor Horvath's office. We're super grateful for these initial funding sources that are coming. In the meantime, we are also still looking for other funding sources to build capacity. Megan Courier and I will be reaching out to individual city managers to discuss collaborations and potential funding sources. And with that, are there any questions? And here's my contact.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the presentation. Are there any questions from the board? Let's see if we can remove the screen share. Yes. Thanks, Pauline, for the presentation. Are there any questions from anyone? Well, I appreciate that we have your contact information, and if anyone has any questions, they can reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we're going to move on to the overview of the county and state ballot propositions. Is James on yet? Let's see. You know what, Terry, I can go out of order if you want to text him. I know we're a little early. I think he was thinking we were a tad earlier. So I'll move on to item C, which is the request for comments from the Los Angeles County Executive Committee for Regional Homeless Alignment on the proposed Good Neighbor Pledge. I would like to ask Terry to give it.
Terry, you're muted.
You're mute.
Okay, item 5C is the request for comment on the proposed Good Neighbor Pledge. As all of you know, the Supreme Court ruled on the Johnson versus Grants Pass that cities and agencies could take action to limit camping in public space, public areas. And as a result of that, the Board of Supervisors created, James just texted back, said he'd be on at 9. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors created the Executive Committee for Regional Homelessness Alignment. And one of the recommendations that was offered 3 years ago by the Blue Ribbon Commission that was established by the Board of Supervisors was to create this committee that's encompassing leaders from the area. So that the committee members include a couple of county supervisors, the mayor of LA, and then council members from throughout Los Angeles County. The person that we've been in contact with is Richard Loa from Palmdale, and his staff has been great about reaching out from time to time to make me aware of anything such as this. The committee has drafted this pledge that basically states that the cities and the county want to be more compassionate and develop alternatives rather than citing people for camping in public areas. And they would like input from the COG and from the cities. And rather than the COG try and coordinate a multi-city response, in talking with President Weintraub, it was felt that it would be better to have the individual cities respond to this. But I will turn it back over to the president for her direction and how you want me to proceed.
Thank you. Just based on everything that the COG governing board has discussed, I felt that this might be something that the board wanted to discuss with their individual cities, but I'm open to hearing from the other board members.
I'll go first. I think it's a very good idea, and I'm happy to take it back and discuss it with our city council. But I think we all have a responsibility to help where and when we can, and we shouldn't be pushing it off onto somebody else. So yes, I'm in favor of it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Maybe Gabriel would want to make a comment. I mean, if he does. I'd like to know, I'd like to hear from Gabriel to see what he thinks.
Okay. Perfect. I see him unmuting. He's right here.
Hi, how's it going?
Morning, Gabriel.
Hi, so what's the question?
It's with regard to the item that's in the agenda as an informational item, the proposed Good Neighbor Pledge that has been developed by the County Regional Homeless Alignment Committee, and basically talks about in response to the Johnson Grants Pass case where the Supreme, so anyway, they're looking at not enforcing and citing individuals that are camping in public spaces until there's a more overall solution that is developed by the county as far as a response. And so the decision was whether the governing board should take action or if it should be reviewed to each individual city. So I guess as it relates to you, what are your thoughts on the camping issue and how do you address that?
Well, overall, I think on the COG cities on the the north side of Santa Monica Mountains are doing pretty good. I guess it would be up to each individual city. I'm curious to see how it goes in not Laguna Beach, but what's that beach right there, the big beach? I know they just passed a no camping ordinance, so I'm interested to see how that works out for them in Newport. But I don't have And I know during red flag season, we should have no camping, at all, period. So, I mean, it may depend seasonally or, on the situation, but so far so good as far as encampments in the brush. I hope that helps a little bit.
Thank you.
Maybe I've misunderstood it, but isn't the good neighbor basically saying that each individual city is going to support their homeless population and find ways to get them services rather than penalize them for being homeless? Isn't
Yeah, I
that
think that
correct?
they're looking to provide a more compassionate response.
Right, because what they don't want is for a city to ban everything and then just dump the homeless on the city next door.
Yeah, right. If one city does an encampment removal, then do those individuals move to a different city? So are we just shuffling the problem around
Right.
rather than addressing it from an overall county issue? And
So that's
city
why I
of
thought
West,
if everyone wanted to discuss this individually with their cities.
Yeah,
Yes.
most definitely. And we're heading into fire season. And as we all know, our region is the most disaster prone and fire prone. So we have a very unique set of circumstances here, in comparison to some cities in our county. So I think we should definitely discuss it individually.
Yeah,
Okay, well, thank you.
yeah.
and
Um,
I would volunteer Gabriel and myself to provide any resources, or if you need us to be at the council meeting where it's discussed, we could also do that.
Perfect. Thanks, Terry and Gabriel. And Terry, I'll turn to you for the executive director's report.
Okay. So we're moving right along with the Regional Smart Cities Fiber Network project. Our design engineering, I was expecting it last Friday. I think it's been delayed a couple days, so I know that I'll have it this week. And we extended the RFP by 11 days in order to allow respondents to get their proposals together. We have been responding to questions as they come up with regard to the RFP. And I'll be making a presentation next week to the Malibu Public Works Commission on the project. So I think that we're in good shape to still award our construction in the fall, in the upcoming few months, and also review the RFPs for the operation and maintenance and future expansion of the fiber project. So all of those are kind of coming to a head, and things seem to be going well. So we're still meeting regularly, weekly, with all of the COG cities, and we've had great participation and good response. So continue to be very optimistic about that project. Gabriel and I made a presentation to the Westlake Village Subcommittee on Public Safety, which was well received, and I always appreciate the opportunity to speak with our COG cities about issues that the COG is working on. And it's always my pleasure to have Gabriel at my side for those, because he's really the eyes and ears and our boots on the ground, and has a great understanding of those issues. So that's really appreciated. Just been participating in the normal Northern City Corridors meeting with Metro, with our Nigerian, who's our representative. We also made a presentation to the on fiber. I made a presentation on fiber to Westlake Village, which was helpful, and I can do that in addition to Malibu in any other city that's interested. And then lastly, I just want to remind the COG and maybe highlight a little bit, and since Karen's on from Metro, she could add any additional information that we're seeking a member appointee to the Metro Service Council for the San Fernando Valley. It would be a person that's interested in public transit and has the time to attend the meetings once a month in the San Fernando Valley Service Council meetings in Van Nuys. But it's really a good opportunity to appoint somebody that the governing board members know that's interested in public transportation in the area. And Karen, I don't know if you want to say anything else about it.
Sure. Well, they're following in Dennis Washburn's steps, so big shoes to fill. But and Dennis has really brought a lot of heart to his role over the years. So, but I would encourage this COG board to think about folks outside the box. Sometimes different members of our board have appointed a student. So if you had a student who is, say, commuting on transit, like a college student or somebody like that, who might be commuting to Pierce College, that could be a thought. Or one of the other places, that could be somebody. So maybe think about former interns that you might have had or folks that you might have known. I think it's always nice to have people who have ridden transit, which is not the easiest thing in your part of the world. So, but folks who are willing, part of the expectation of service council members is they are taking the system and reporting out on what's called a line ride. So, I took line 161, or I took, the bus down Malibu, down PCH, and here's how it went. And so that is important. But it's really to kind of dig in and someone who can get along like you all do with a group of fellow appointees. So somebody who's got a good spirit about them, and we'll take it seriously. I will say post-COVID, those are hybrid meetings. So somebody who also has a little bit of an ability to bring some energy and maybe bring a network of people to get them engaged would also be helpful, as that group tries to kind of keep rebuilding momentum and excitement post-COVID. So those are my thoughts, Terry. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Anything else on your end, Terry?
That concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions about my report or anything else related to the COG.
Great. Thanks, Terry. Are there any questions? I'm going to take things a little bit out of order. I'm going to go back to James, just since I know then Supervisor Horvath is going to be joining us, and I think she's at about 9 o'clock. So we will turn to James now, and then I'll do city updates after. Good morning, James. Thanks for being here.
Okay. I'm going to do my best here to share. Do I push share?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you can
Maximize it. All right.
sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to go over not every proposition. There are 10 propositions and 3 county measures. I'm going to go over the ones regarding municipal government that have the most to do with municipal government. And this entire presentation is available for anybody who wants it. It's my own work product, so I'd be happy to send it to you. And Terry also has a copy. Okay, close the door maybe behind you. Thanks. Okay, so we're up and running, and let's go over the state initiatives, the 5 that directly affect municipal government. So just as a reminder, state initiatives can be placed on the ballot in 2 ways. First, by the state legislature, if it receives a 2/3 vote in each chamber, and these can appear either on the primary ballot or the general election ballot. Second way is by the voters through petition. These can appear only on the next general election ballot. The petition requirements, a lot of people ask me this, so I wrote it out here. For constitutional amendments, minimum number of valid signatures is 8% of the number of people who cast votes for governor in the most recent election. So for now, we're using 2022 numbers. And so 8% of the number of people in California who cast votes for governor is that number right there, 874,641. The threshold is lower for statutes, where the minimum number is 5% of that number. So that number is 546,651. The maximum time you have to get signatures is 180 days. And if you don't meet the deadline, You have to start all over again if you want it to appear on the ballot, but you can continue to do that. You can try as many times as you want to get the signatures. So Proposition 2, we're not going over. We're not going over 3. Proposition 4, we're going to go over. That authorizes bonds for safe drinking water, wildfire prevention, and protecting communities and natural lands from climate risks. This is a state statute that would authorize $10 billion in state general obligation bonds for various projects to reduce climate risks and impacts. And it's very specific in its allocations. You can see how the money is allocated right there. I've spelled it out in exact numbers. The average repayment cost for this bond will be $400 million per year for 40 years. I've also noted in these slides the organizations, either the League of California Cities, the California Contract Cities Association, or our own city council, where we've taken a position. So the league took this up and it decided to support it. If no organization took it up, then I don't note it at all, but I only note it when they've actually debated it. So Proposition 5 allows local bonds for affordable housing and public infrastructure with 55% voter approval. This would be lowering the threshold for an approval of a bond. This is a constitutional amendment. It allows local bonds for affordable housing for low and middle income Californians or for public infrastructure, including roads, water, and fire protection, to be approved by 55% of voters. It allows local governments to assess property taxes above 1% to repay affordable housing and infrastructure bonds if approved by 55% of voters. Currently, these vote thresholds are 2/3. The League of California Cities debated this and took a position in support. Note that there's a lot of things you could do with this at the local level. You know, you could be very creative and create some kind of bond measure that allows you to fund the projects that fall within this, and then use your general fund money elsewhere. And again, it lowers the threshold to 55%, which is a far more attainable threshold. We're skipping Proposition 6. We're now going to Proposition 32, which raises the minimum wage. This is a statute, and the current standard minimum wage in California is $16 per hour. This measure would increase the minimum wage along 2 tracks, depending on the size of the business we're talking about. Employers with more than 25 employees, it would require a minimum wage of $17 per hour for the remainder of 2024, starting with immediately after the election. And it would go to $18 per hour beginning on January 1st of 2025. Employers with 25 or less employees, $17 per hour beginning January 1st, 2025, $18 per hour beginning January 1st, 2026. Starting on January 1st, 2027, the minimum wage would adjust annually for inflation. So it would just be automatic. There would be no need to go back to the voters or to the legislature. The maximum increase is 3.5%, meaning that if the rate of inflation is 5%, you still only get a 3.5% increase. If the rate of inflation is 2%, you would get a 2% increase. So it goes within that 3.5% annually. No adjustments for deflation. So in the unlikely event we have deflation, you would not adjust the minimum wage downwards. It would just stay the same. 2 very key things for cities. First, it does not impact higher minimum wages currently in place for specified industries. So for example, as we've learned, the fast food industry, which received a higher minimum wage recently, that will remain, as will anything that is specifically deemed by the legislature outside this matrix. The other main thing for cities, it does not impact higher minimum wages enacted by local jurisdictions. There are maybe 15 to 20 cities in California which have their own city minimum wage. It is higher than this. You can do that. You can make it higher. You cannot make it lower, but you can make it higher. And this proposition will not impact your ability, if you wish to do so locally, in that regard. So Proposition 33 is probably, you're going to see more spending on this than any other proposition, maybe more on this than all the others combined. This expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property. Rent control is very difficult in California. It's got a lot of little exceptions, and I've listed them in one of the bullet points here. This is a statute, and just will say as a general rule, if you're not allowed at the local level, either the city or the county, state law prevents you from enacting rent control. There are some exceptions, as you can see. This measure, if you look at it, would simply strike out all that language. It would repeal all the existing state law and would prohibit the state from limiting the right of cities and counties to maintain, enact, or expand rent control at the residential level. So what this means for your city is, if this passes, and I'm not saying good or bad, it will be very impactful to your cities. There are 58 counties and there are 483 cities in California. Each one will have immediate and enormous pressure from both sides, pro-rent control and anti-rent control, to enact ordinances. Your council, it will become an issue in your council elections. You will have outside groups do petitions to put it on the ballot, and it will be in perpetuity something that goes back and forth. So expect that immediately after this passes, if it does pass. Both the league and contract cities took up this position. The league spent more time on this proposition than anything being on the state board. I was there. And in the end, the league takes 2/3 vote of the board to take a position. There was not a 2/3 position for anything. So, so they basically are staying neutral. California Contract Cities Association supports this under the premise that it's adds power to local control. We're not going over 34 or 35. 36. This has gotten a lot of publicity. This allows felony charges and increased sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. Let's go over this carefully. Having been a career prosecutor, this is right up my alley, so I took it. It's very complicated, and I decided to just give you bullet points as to the major things it does. This is a statute that changes several aspects of the law, generally increasing penalties for crimes, and also allowing for additional drug rehabilitation for drug addicts who commit crimes. Currently, theft of items worth $950 or less is generally a misdemeanor. This initiative would allow for such thefts to be charged as felonies if the defendant has 2 or more prior theft-related convictions. An example, you steal, thieves have gotten very sophisticated. They'll go into a store, they'll steal, $500 worth of property. They'll do it again and again and again, and it's all misdemeanors. Used to be felonies until about 10 years ago. This initiative means that if they have 2 or more prior theft-related convictions, they can steal any item, no matter how small it is, could be charged as a felony. Second, it increases felony sentences for theft or damage of property if the crime was committed in concert by 3 or more individuals or the damage inflicted exceeds $50,000. What this does is it adds penalties in terms of years on a sliding scale if you act in concert with other people. This is aimed at those large, gangs that go in and do these large-scale retail thefts. So this will increase the amount of time they do, and it will strengthen the law in that area. It allows aggregation of the value of property stolen in multiple related thefts. The example I've used is, let's say you have a group of individuals go into a mall, and they've gotten quite sophisticated. They go from store to store, and they steal, $100 here, $300 there, and each one is a misdemeanor right now, for which they do no time if they're even charged. However, this would allow you to aggregate those crimes and if you get over $950, it's charged as a felony. It could also be, and I tried a case once like this, where there was a group that went from Target store to Target store and stole a small smaller than $950 from each store. Because of the relatedness of the thefts, you were allowed to, under this, you'd be allowed to put them together, and it would be a felony. All right, it increases felony sentences for selling or possessing for sale certain hard drugs such as fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, or phencyclidine based on the amount of drugs involved. So this is going to add time if the amount of drugs is a significant amount of drugs. Currently, state law doesn't do that anymore. It elevates from a misdemeanor to a felony the crime of possessing certain hard drugs if the defendant's armed with a loaded firearm. Used to be that if you were armed with a loaded firearm and you possessed drugs, that would be a felony. Merely possession of certain drugs that are listed here was a felony. That was all reduced to a misdemeanor. So unfortunately, misdemeanors really would carry no weight, and it wouldn't even incentivize a defendant to go into drug rehab and divert from the felony system, from the court system. So this now elevates it. If they're with a loaded firearm and in possession of drugs, it now becomes a felony. It increases felony. Yes.
Hey, James,
Yeah.
would it be possible, and I would really appreciate your indulgence if we could pause your presentation while we move to item 7A for Supervisor Horvath, because I know she has a board meeting this morning.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Perfect. We're going to come right back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I need to take my screen off?
Yes, if you can, and then we'll put it right back.
Okay.
Perfect. Supervisor Horvath, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. I don't have a board meeting this morning, but
Oh.
I am grateful to have this time with you and share a little bit about. I believe you wanted to hear a little bit about Measure G. Is that right?
Yes, and it's
Okay.
actually perfect segue with James's info session, so we're
I know,
good.
I feel bad. He was doing such a good job. I don't mean to interrupt your flow, James. You're always so good at that. He presents at Contract City, as I've seen it for a number of years, and he's always incredibly informed.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. So Measure G, familiar to many of you, is a measure that we have on the ballot in Los Angeles County that does basically three things. It expands the Board of Supervisors seats from 5 seats to 9 seats. It separates out the executive authority from the legislative authority that the board currently enjoys. And that's critical because you'll hear that, we're asking for the CEO to be elected or it's an elected CEO. That is not the case. We are separating out these authorities that currently all exist in the Board of Supervisors and having a separate legislative and executive branch in the government, like every other level of government, like we were taught when we were kids, is an appropriate check and balance. And then we are also creating an independent ethics commission, creating a charter review commission. So at least every 10 years on a going forward basis, the county charter will be reviewed, and the opportunity to make additional changes to the charter should we want to update will automatically come to the board. So it won't just be up to either the public doing a citizens initiative or the board doing a motion, but there will actually be a formal process to review other aspects of the county charter should that be warranted. And we really believe that this measure is long overdue. Aspects of this measure have been tried piecemeal in the past and have failed, I believe, because they have been piecemeal. What is different about this measure is that it is a total package of reform for Los Angeles County. The governance structure of Los Angeles County has not changed since 1912. And I think it's safe to say that our reality has changed significantly in more than 100 years. And so making sure that we have a county government that is responsive and meets the moment in the 21st century is incredibly important as we tackle issues ranging from homelessness to criminal justice and safety, and so many other issues. And we have seen time and again that the Board of Supervisors, brings forward motions proposing various solutions to some of these problems, and then they get stuck inside the county bureaucracy. There's nobody there's no one individual who is empowered on a daily basis to work with the department directors and work within those departments to execute and implement the changes that are proposed by the Board of Supervisors. Unlike our cities who have a city manager style of government where there is an empowered person to hire and fire, to manage departments, the CEO in the county does not have that authority. All of that authority exists within the Board of Supervisors. So if a department director wants to solve a problem, they have to, what we call in the building, walk the 8th floor and go to 5 different offices shopping for answers, hoping that the answers that they get from the 5 different offices align enough to move forward. Otherwise, we have to bring it to a public discussion with the Board of Supervisors because each of us is 20% of the executive part of the executive branch of the government. And so these reforms sound big because our government hasn't changed in a long time, but they are quite familiar to us in other levels of government. It's like having an elected mayor with a city council, the elected governor with the legislature. And so what we're proposing is something that is actually quite familiar to us and would be a common sense solution to some of the problems that we're seeing in the county government. We have written into the charter amendment that it cannot come at additional cost to taxpayers. My colleagues brought forward a motion which we all unanimously supported for there to be an independent fiscal analysis of the impact of this amendment. Sorry, Winston wanted to say hello this morning. And hold on one second. Sorry about that. And so we empowered our auditor controller to do an independent fiscal analysis. And his estimate was that to implement these changes would cost $8 million. And while that isn't nothing out of a $49 billion budget, I believe the county has the resources to make these changes. And I think we also have the responsibility and obligation to do better with the resources that we already have within our current structure. Where will we get this funding? Currently, the current budget provides hundreds of millions of dollars for the Board of Supervisors to do its work. And there are hundreds of positions that exist within the current CEO's office. So on the administrative side of the house, in terms of doing the work, there is a lot of resource that can be reallocated and restructured in order to accomplish this change. And I believe that bringing the government closer to the people by making these districts smaller makes us more accountable and also makes it easier for people who need their county government to respond to them. It makes it easier for them to reach their supervisor and for their supervisor to understand some of the nuances community by community. I understand coming from local government that every neighborhood has unique challenges, and the closer you can get that leadership to understanding some of those nuances on a regular basis, I think the better the responsiveness will be. So happy to answer any questions that you might have, but I'm really excited about this proposal. Obviously, it was supported by a majority of the board. The measure is supported by a range of folks who don't always come together and don't always agree. But I'm excited to say, elected leaders like our Lieutenant Governor and Congressman Adam Schiff are supporting this. Congressman Tony Cardenas, Congressman Ted Lieu. We also have ranging from the Democratic Party to the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce and constituency and community organizations ranging from CHIRLA to CAUSE and so many other organizations who see this as an opportunity to diversify representation on the board. And so we're very, and I know some of you have personally endorsed as well, and we appreciate your support. Thank you. But like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Lindsay, for being here and for the overview. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, well, if there are not any questions, we're actually going to be considering this item at the end of our meeting today. So we'll keep your office posted, but I know many of us have individually already endorsed the measure, and we're really happy about the innovation and change that this could possibly bring. So thank you for your leadership on this.
Absolutely. Look forward to working with all of you, and thank you for the work that you already are doing.
Thanks so much. Bye. And now we are headed back to James.
Okay, so let me get this back here.
There you go. Perfect.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly
So,
in the same place.
all right, so going back to, we're at the last bullet point. So this also increases, this is Proposition 36, increases felony sentences for selling or furnishing drugs to another person if the receiving party suffers a significant or substantial physical injury from using the substance. So if you sell drugs to somebody, it's already a felony, but this will add time potentially to your sentence if the person you sell to gets injured as a result of taking the drugs. Oh boy, what happened here? Oh, here we are. Okay. Okay. It allows convicted drug dealers and manufacturers to be charged with murder if they subsequently continue to traffic in hard drugs and someone dies as a result. What this does is, just like the drunk driving statutes, if you're convicted of selling drugs to somebody or furnishing drugs, then you will be given an advisement by the court stating that it's dangerous activity that could result in injury or death to somebody if you continue doing this. And the next time you do it and are convicted, you can be charged with murder. It allows defendants who are convicted of possessing illegal drugs and who have 2 or more prior convictions for drug crimes to have their cases dismissed upon successful completion of a drug treatment program. So this is the provision that has gotten a lot of support from people who wouldn't normally support this kind of tougher criminal law, including the mayors of San Francisco, San Diego, and San Jose. This provision allows you in a drug crime to go into drug rehab, and upon successfully completing that program, you get your case dismissed. This includes, by the way, drug dealers who are drug addicts. So it's a pretty broad provision in here, and it's kind of a carrot and stick approach. This is actually taken up by our city council last week. We supported it. The League of California Cities has endorsed it, as has Contract Cities. And I should tell you, these days, because I give a lot of these presentations, I don't take positions publicly on a lot of these, although I do vote because I'm a board member of these organizations. I do vote publicly, but I don't take a personal position. But this one is the only one on the ballot I did take a position and personally endorse this, just by way of disclosure. On the county measures, a county measure can be placed on the ballot in 2 ways: by majority vote of the County Board of Supervisors, as Supervisor Horvath indicated, and also by the voters through a petition. The petition requirement for county measures is slightly different than the state. It's 10% of the number of people in the county who cast votes for governor in the most recent election. And there's your number from 2022. That's 10% of the votes in this county that were cast for governor, 238,923. And you have 180 days to gather the signatures. The 2 measures we're going over, the first one is County Measure E, which is Consolidated Fire Protection District of Los Angeles County Emergency Response and Infrastructure Ordinance. I also should let you know that these titles you see in bold, this is what appears on your ballot. I did not alter them or change them. So if they sound biased in any way, that's the Secretary of State and the Registrar Recorder and the Attorney General, not me. This will levy an annual tax of 6 cents per square foot of structural improvements on property starting with the 2025-26 fiscal year. Tax proceeds will be used to replace, upgrade, and maintain technology and equipment, as well as to hire and train additional firefighters and paramedics. It's estimated to raise about $152 million per year. This was endorsed by the California Contract Cities Association and the League of California Cities Los Angeles County Division. This initiative, if you might remember, appeared on the ballot a while back and did not get the support needed to pass it. County Measure G, you've already heard about, so we're going to skip that and go to the last one, which is County Measure A, Homeless Services and Affordable Housing Ordinance. This has a couple of different aspects. It repeals Measure H, which was the measure which was passed in 2017 and set to expire in 2027, which imposed a 1/4-cent sales tax in LA County. This will replace that measure with Measure H, this Measure A, and add a 1/2 cent sales tax in perpetuity. So it takes out the 1/4-cent sales tax that was going to expire anyway in 2027. Now you have a permanent 1/2 cent sales tax. It's estimated to raise more than $1 billion in annual revenue. The monies collected from the tax are to be spent on programs designed to reduce and prevent homelessness and to promote affordable housing options. This has been endorsed by the California Contract Cities Association. So this is it. That's my presentation. I'm going to stop share, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And as I said, this is my own work product, so you're free to use it as you wish. If you'd like it, I can send you a copy. Just send me an email, or Terry has a copy as well. Terry, I'm going to hand it over to you if anyone has any questions.
Thank you so much, James. Are there any questions? James actually did this presentation last night. We had a community voter night. We had about 25 students, and what do you think, 30 or 40 community members? So it was really well attended. So people are definitely interested in this election.
Yeah, I actually gave this also a version of this at the Contract Cities Convention. It's you know, it's very hard sometimes to look at the thick pamphlet they give you in the mail because it doesn't break it down too easily. So this is just bullet points of the major aspects of these. I guess no one has any questions, and
I just want to make a comment. Thank you so much, James. This was so helpful, and I so appreciate you coming to the COG meetings and educating the public and us on these important issues. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. Thank you, James.
And me too, James, the late.
And if you could just send it to all of us, James, I mean, that would be great.
You know what, Terry has
Terry can send it.
I have
Terry,
it. I'll send it out.
I don't want to miss anybody.
Yeah, I would like James, I appreciate it. I would like James to send out his voter guide so we know how he's voting, so we can just vote that way. Thanks, James.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Have a good
Thanks
meeting.
so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you.
You at the league.
Bye. Now we are moving on to city updates. I'm going to call on Nate to start us off.
Good morning, board members. Thank you, Chair. We are busy along probably with every city with all of our fall events going on. We just completed our Race Adobe Days, and we had a record attendance this year to several of our events, so very happy how that turned out. We do have an area for Halloween, our Haunted Hempstead. We've got an area of town where we tend to get a lot of people, and so we'll be closing off that in the park there on the day of Halloween in preparation for the crowds that come out. And then one big thing, the State of the City coming on November 7th, along with our Mayor's Art Show. And we invite everybody to come out for that. We'll have all of our city staff present and do a different format at our Recreation and Event Center this year. And then one final thing, we are doing a goodbye to Elise Buckley Weber at our November 13th City Council meeting. We will have an event reception prior to the meeting for anybody that's interested in attending. I know some of you have council meetings on the same evening, but we'd love to have you in attendance. As you know, Elise is not running, and so she is quote unquote retiring from the council and retiring from work. So we just want to wish her well and send her off. And with that, I'll turn it over to Penny if there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, I think you've covered it all very well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nate and Penny. We will move on to Kindon.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everybody. Just a couple of items. We recently held our flu clinic and COVID shots. We had over 300 people attend that event.
Kendon, we can't hear you.
I'm
Can you
sorry.
turn up the volume? Yeah, thank you.
Oh, now it's on mute.
Let me try this again. Is that better?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Kelly, can you hear Kendon?
Yes, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kelly. I apologize for that. As I was mentioned, we had our flu clinic and our COVID test that we provided over 300 vaccinations, a great event. We also just last week celebrated the opening of Brandon's Village, an inclusive playground that we'd been working on for some time. We're excited about this, and it was wonderful to see families and children there participating in the activities of the day, but also just enjoying this new inclusive playground that will be a tribute to those who worked on this project for so many years ago and continue that legacy of kids with special needs who look for outdoor play spaces. And I know Agoura Hills is working on a similar project, and we're excited to see that come to fruition as well to extend those services to the community. Next week, this Sunday actually, we have our Pumpkin Festival. We're excited to that, and we've extended invitations and complimentary tickets out, and hope that you can attend. And also are excited to be working on several other initiatives. We will have our Green Street project ribbon cutting soon, and we'll be sending out a notice and invitations on that as well. So thank you very much. And Mayor, if there's anything else that you'd like to add.
Nope, you've got it covered. Thanks so much. Oh, actually, do you want to just mention our Veterans Day event?
Yes, thank you. That'll be, we're holding just a small Veterans Day event on November, let me make sure I get this right, November 8th in the morning at 10:30. And so, again, we have our Veterans Garden that we dedicated about 6 years ago now, and we'll host it there at Civic Center Plaza and invite anybody who would like to attend and just to celebrate our veterans that Friday morning.
Thanks so much. Now we will move on to Hidden Hills.
Good morning. This is Gloria Moyeda. I apologize. For some reason, my camera isn't working. So at Hidden Hills, we're also very busy, just like everyone else. We have a council meeting tonight at 5 o'clock. On events, we have a mobile voting center scheduled for our own city hall on October 26th. And November 4th. And so if you want to send your constituents over to our city hall to do early voting, please send them our way. That's all I have for now, Mayor Golds. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I'd like to add that our city hosted LA County Sheriff Robert Luna on Saturday, October 5th. And it was a really well-attended event. It was a coffee with a cop event. So we had other deputies out there too. And we had a surprise guest. So, Assemblymember Irwin stopped by to say hi, and we were delighted to see her. And during the event, Sheriff Luna engaged with the public about important issues such as the drug epidemic, homelessness, property crimes, recruitment challenges, and the need for greater support for law enforcement. So we had a very successful event. Thank you for all who attended. And that's all I can add. Thank you.
Thank you, Aniko and Gloria. Now I'll turn to Steve.
Thank you, Chair Weintraub, and good morning, everybody. I think all of my news this morning has to do with Pacific Coast Highway. No big surprise there. Well, of course, big news for us with the passage and the signing of the SB 1297 for the speed cameras. That's obviously a big effort and a huge victory, not only for Malibu, but for all the thousands of people who traverse that road every day and know how dangerous it is. We're moving forward very quickly with the implementation. We've already issued our first RFP to get consultants on board to start establishing what we need to do the speed safety system use policy. We've got a number of steps outlined, and if everything falls into place, we would likely go live with the first cameras in about a year from now. We have to do a warning period to start. So probably around November or so of 2025 would be when we actually start issuing the administrative citations. So we are going full speed ahead on that. For those who are at the ribbon cutting for the Real-Time Crime and Disaster Center, it kind of turned into an impromptu celebration for the signing of the bill. Senator Allen was there, Assemblymember Irwin, and of course Supervisor Horvath. Again, just thank everybody. It was a huge team effort, and we're very excited to be able to move forward with this. So that's the good news. Of course, we're still dealing with the impacts of the road and the continuing carnage. And as part of that, of course, we've not forgotten, what got us here. It's hard to believe it's been a year since the crash that claimed the lives of the 4 Pepperdine women and also injured another student. We do have a community candlelight vigil. It's going to be this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. at the Ghost Tire Memorial, which is right on PCH and Stewart Ranch Road. And then there will be, that's really a community-based event. And then the following day on Friday, we're going to have a media event and press conference. That's going to be at 6 p.m. also at the Ghost Tire Memorial. We're going to have many dignitaries, elected officials will be attending that. We're going to talk about not only a remembrance event, but also talk about the progress that we've made and also recognize that the work that we still need to be done. So those events are coming up a little later this week. At the same time, Caltrans is working very hard on some plans on their redesign plans, and they've made some good progress on that. They have a 6th public workshop that they're going to hold on the 23rd of this month at City Hall from 6 to 8 p.m., where they're going to get feedback from the community on the latest design alternatives and safety recommendations for a possible for a redesign for PCH. That is going to happen. So all moving forward really well. I think that's all that I have to report. Apologize that neither the mayor nor our alternative, Councilmember Grisante, could be here today. They are away on other city business. They are not completely unsupervised. I sent the city attorney along to keep tabs on them. So anyways, I think that's all for the report for me this morning. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks so much, Steve. Now we'll move to Rob in Westlake.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. Yeah, just real quick from Westlake. We got a busy week as well. There'll be several of us going to the Cal Cities conference, so we look forward to seeing colleagues there and learning some things. And then when we get back on Saturday, the 19th, we have our large annual city celebration. It's our 22nd year of that celebration. You're all invited. It's free. It's a great family event. A lot of great, good food, beer and wine garden, a lot of entertainment. It's 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday the 19th here at City Hall. So come join us. A lot of fun there. And just as we look at the end of the year already, it's gone so fast. There's a lot of projects that we're trying to complete or advance that are priorities for the council, things like our annual street resurfacing. We've got sidewalk that we're finishing up and building, street light controller assembly replacements. Pickleball courts still not done, but very close. So we'll have that done in a few weeks here. We're putting out our grant program for public schools and nonprofit providers. We give out a little over $100,000 for grants. We also have a grant program for our HOAs, where we partner with HOAs and city and HOAs together, do projects to beautify the city. So it's a little unique, and we're going to be putting that out pretty soon. So there's just a few of the activities coming up. And then just lastly, something a little different. Our last meeting in October, it's next week, October 23rd. At the end of the meeting, we have this tradition to do a public service announcement for Halloween. So at the end of the meeting, we pause, and the council gets dressed up in their costumes as well as the staff. And we come back and we do a little safety announcement about pedestrian safety and have a little bit of fun. I can tell you that some council members enjoy that tradition a lot more than others, but it's good fun, and so we're looking forward to a good month. That's all I have to report.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for their city reports. Now we will move on to our public safety and legislative and agency partner updates. And I will start with Captain C2.
Hi, good morning. So we attended a fire training with the LA County Fire Department. It was my personnel actually went to, I think it's Camp 2, Camp 7, one of those camps. And really integrated with the fire department, and we're so thankful that that's what the fire department has done, is really integrate with us. And so a big shout out, thank you to Chief Drew Smith and Chief Maroney. If any of you have gone down to PCH along the unincorporated area of Malibu, you've hopefully seen a huge decrease in RVs. So we got word, we went out there, the community contacted me like in August and explained, hey, this is a issue, come and see this. And I didn't really understand it until I actually went down there, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And the storm drain, they actually used the storm drain as a porta potty. Human feces and urine all in the storm drain that goes directly into the beach. And we just wondered why our beaches got closed so much. Like they were closed, Topanga Beach was closed last week. And just needles nearby, propane tanks all over the place. And we went out with the supervisor's office, the assemblywoman, and the senator's office to really understand the situation. And I literally couldn't believe it. And then so we brought out, took us a little bit of time, but we brought out a fire inspector that actually wrote a report because they were doing like hookups to the Edison pole. And he was like, this is a major fire issue. And the only thing next to that pole is a hillside of all dead brush. And up to homes that literally, the homeowners were telling me they can't even get insurance, fire insurance. And so being able to actually make an impact on the community, you know, as we talk about RVs, you know, just the parking on PCH and people living on PCH, just in the last 2 months, one in the city of Malibu, someone was running across the street and was killed. And then just this week in the unincorporated area, we know this person, she darted across the street and was killed. And it looks like the driver of the motorcycle is going to lose his leg. This is a major issue, and I really want to thank Supervisor Horvath, she and Senator Ben Allen and Assemblywoman Jackie Irwin. They are working hard to get us our tow-away signs, which Coastal did agree to. So those should be going out in the next month. Again, this is about the environment. This is about public health. This is about fire. And so any help from any of the cities, we would like to engage you because we do need help with this. And in November, I will be speaking at the Office of Transportation of Safety, OTS, with Michelle Shane. And what we're presenting at this conference with Cal chiefs and the sheriffs, it's a big conference, is just how when government works alone, it takes a long time. But when the community works with the government, like we saw in Malibu, that's where the magic happens. And even with Mayor Weintraub, us being able to go out into the community last week and walking to the businesses, meeting them where they were at, talking to them. Most of them didn't even know about our real-time watch center. And I mean, even like the ones that we thought were going to shut us down, we're so excited to hear what we had to say. So Mayor Weintraub, thank you so much for doing that business walk. I urge every city, get with Mayor Weintraub, figure out how she did it. It was really incredible. And I've gotten so many emails from those business owners. That's what we want. We want to partner with the cities. And then as we continue to build this real-time watch center, we are now getting live 911 and SOS into our station. So what does that mean? When we get these swatting calls, we will actually be able to know where the call came from, whether it's a landline or a cell phone. And we will have a better understanding. We don't want to impact the kids like we've been doing. So we want to do this better. We want to protect our kids, but we want to make sure that they have a full day to learn and not traumatize our kids. So we're working on that with the superintendent. So any questions for Malibu Lost Hills?
I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us last Friday. The businesses were so happy to make that connection with you, and it just made me so happy to have that interface and hopefully get things done and get those cameras up at these businesses. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, now we will move on to LA County Fire, Chief Smith, or Megan. I see Megan.
Yeah, we're both here.
So Andrew.
Good morning. I'm driving, so I'm going to talk. You won't get to see my bright and shiny face. So there's a lot going on with the fire department and the sheriff's department. Captain C2, with her leadership and vision, how we integrate. The watch center is just phenomenal. It's going to help us so much in a pre-emergency setting, during an emergency setting, even a post-emergency setting. This is really, really enlightening for us all. In public safety. This is phenomenal. We're looking to see how it grows. It's been a busy month for us. A lot that we've done is, as Captain C2 talked about, is our wildland training, and we had quite a few folds to that. And I know that we had one which was what we call our Susanna plan. I've invited the COG to be there, and I did have some representation from the city, so thank you for being there. And what is that? That is 25 years of your fire and law agencies getting together and going over the plan on a wildland fire, and how we enhance our skill set, best practice in the nature of an emergency, and how to combat these fires. So the unification between your fire and your law partners, and it extends well beyond your great Lost Hills Sheriff Station. This is Simi Valley Police Department, Thousand Oaks Police, Ventura County Sheriff, state parks, MRCA, LAPD, and your fire agencies that are there on an initial attack response that affects the COG. And those three agencies that are going to come together are Los Angeles County, Los Angeles City, and Ventura County, with all our engines, all our aircraft, all our hand crews, bulldozers, you name it. So we've been doing that for 25 years, and every year it just gets better and better. So we all are on a common operating platform and communications plan for what we need to do. So highly appreciate the involvement from the cities, and I've had a lot of FaceTime with our cities within the last couple months. So thank you for your engagement. As far as the outlook for what's going on, we know that we're leading into our Santa Ana wind season. We know that we have those high risk days. We are prepared. We'll distribute the information. Everybody will be notified in what your Los Angeles County Fire Department is doing and what your Lost Hills Sheriff Station is doing in preparation on a high risk day. So with that, I'll leave that for now, and I'll see if Megan needs to complement any of the conversation.
Thanks, Chief Smith. I don't have anything to add. Covered it all great.
Could I ask a question for Captain Smith? I saw on social media that there's some new cameras are being put up by UC San Diego in our area.
That is correct. So we've been working with Hidden Hills and the leadership at Hidden Hills, and we found a site location, which is in Crummer Canyon on MRCA property. So the contract agreement has all been done. The installation is been going on. And if it's not completed right now, it should be completed here within the next week. So our fire season and the fire activity has delayed that Plus we had to do some electrical rerouting. And so that creativity happened. So we are really close. And so what that's going to do in the Santa Monica Mountains, it's going to close that gap in extending those cameras looking towards Hidden Hills, looking to the northeast, and to the northwest into the Simi Hill area. So it's going to be a great capture that really closes the gap in what our intelligence is. And all that is also being streamed into Lost Hills Sheriff Station, also our dispatch center. So the alert wildfire camera system is absolutely phenomenal for that early warning and detection for wildfire. Great question. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Penny. Are there any questions for Captain Smith or Megan? Thank you both for everything that you're doing to keep us safe.
Thank you for the support.
Moving on now, Barry, do you have anything to add? I know we heard from the supervisor.
Yes, I have some updates. We did hear from the supervisor, and my updates are just a few things. So supervisor was very pleased to be at the ribbon cutting for the Real-Time Watch Center at the Malibu Lost Hill Station a few weeks ago, and excited to see all the incredible impacts that this center will have on our community. Special thank you to Captain C2 for your leadership on this. Supervisor Horvath was also with Malibu Mayor Pro Tem, Malibu City Manager, and Assistant City Manager a few weeks ago as well to give a tour of Camp Kilpatrick. We want to just say thank you to our Malibu representatives for making the time to see the site firsthand, and encourage other city officials to come out and see it as well. And please contact us if you have questions about that. On October 5th, we hosted an emergency preparedness event at the Skirball Center, similar to what we did last year in the Agoura area, and we look forward to doing others of these around our district. It was very well attended. At the September 24th meeting, the board approved a motion authored by Chair Horvath and Supervisor Barger. This motion established an emergency centralized response center. They're dubbing it ECRC. We love our acronyms. The emergency centralized response center will be a centralized physical clearinghouse made up of both county and city staff, as well as LASA, to optimize solutions for unhoused constituents. And much like an emergency services dispatch, an emergency service center deploys fire or law enforcement services, this center will expedite shelter services and care to our unhoused neighbors. The board also approved an all year long 24/7 emergency shelters for people experiencing homelessness in response to extreme weather resulting from the climate crisis. And then finally, we have had a confirmed report of GSOB in the 3rd district here. There are community workshop exhibit tours that explain more about GSOB. I know this group knows all about it, but the management of it and supporting our community oak trees and much more. I have a long list of when these workshops are, so I'll put them in the chat for you all, and I won't go through all of them right now, but I just wanted to say thank you all, and it's good to see you.
Thanks so much, Barry. Appreciate you being here. Do we have anyone from CHP on the call?
I don't think so.
Okay, then we'll move on to Jeff with the Cal Cities Monthly Update. And this update is included in everyone's agenda on pages 15 to 16. Jeff, would you like to highlight your update?
I was just mostly listening in. I'm headed to Long Beach in just a few minutes after I'm finished speaking here, just to have the meetings and trainings before the conference kicks off tomorrow. But I would just encourage everyone to really look at the legislative update part of it with the QR code and the link. It shows how a number of your legislators voted on all the priority bills that Cal Cities was focusing on this year. Other than that, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone this week.
Thanks so much, Jeff. And next, I'll turn to Nancy and then Kate.
Morning, everybody. Good to see your faces. Y'all know the legislative cycle is over. Jackie has been in the district doing meetings, business visitations, all kinds of in-district things. And tonight we have an insurance town hall in Thousand Oaks with the supervisor on the Ventura County side, where we will have the deputy director of the Department of Insurance talking about what everybody is talking about, trying to get fire insurance for your home. So if you would like to, I think if you check our website, probably the end of the week, that should be up. I don't know if they're going to do it live. We are doing it at the new fire offices, and there might be a little trouble with sending it out live right now. On the legislative side, we had 13 bills that landed on the governor's desk, and all 13 were signed, which is an amazing feat. 5 of the highlighted bills, and I have talked about the food bill before, about food waste, that has gotten so much traction all over the country. So hopefully other states will follow our lead in that. Digital tools, like when you buy a video game, you think you're buying the video game and you will always have that video game, but really you are just renting it and they can pull that at any time. So now sellers of those kind of things have to say that you are not buying it. It is not yours in perpetuity. You get it for as long as they have the subscription business going. That's a huge change as well. All of these bills, the 5 that I'm highlighting, are the first in the nation. So hopefully others, again, will follow us. AI training data. It kind of goes deep down into, you have to acknowledge how you trained your AI system, what data set you use to train it. There are certain exceptions for public safety and for manufacturers' secrets, that kind of thing. So that also passed. And then there's one about EV charging roaming agreements. And there will be a master plan of where EVs chargers are, if they are working or not. You'll be able to pull it up on your phone. And the last bill is the Katie Saves bill. There, in our district, we had a very famous soccer player, Stanford, and she died from suicide, and she was getting disciplined by her college and was very overwrought with that, and she had no one with her. This bill establishes a system where if any student, athlete, or any students can appoint an advocate to guide them through and assist them when they're having a discipline process. So those are the 5 big ones. There's others. If you would like me to send you a short briefing on them, I can. But I think that's it for right now. Any questions? Perfect.
Any questions for Nancy? Thanks for the great work that you and the assembly member are doing.
Yeah, so happy about the Malibu cameras. I mean, both Ben's office and our office thought there was not a chance in hell, excuse my language, of that being able to move forward. So it was great that it did.
Absolutely. And now I'll turn to Kate from Congresswoman Brownlee's office.
Good morning, everybody. So just a couple of things to touch on here. So while in DC last month, the Congresswoman introduced a number of veteran-focused bills, including the Women Involuntary Separated Earnings Remittance, which is the WISER Act, also known as HR 9725, and the Loved Ones Internment Act, which is HR 9804. The WISER Act establishes a process for upgrades to military records and discharges for women who are wrongfully or involuntarily separated due to parenthood and/or pregnancy, and provides a one-time payment to eligible veterans and expands U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs healthcare eligibility to these veterans. The Loved Ones Interment Act ensures that veterans can be laid to rest alongside their loved ones in national or veteran cemeteries. Specifically, this bill would amend current law that prevents veterans' cremated remains from being interred with loved ones if the deceased veteran received a burial benefit such as an urn or commemorative plaque from the Department of Veterans Affairs. Additionally, the House passed a continuing resolution, also known as a CR, which is keeping the federal government open and operational until December 20th. So we have, again, December 20th is going to be next time to check in on this. The Congresswoman stated a government shutdown will not only have devastating economic impact, but would hinder our military readiness, weaken our national security, deprive veterans of benefits that they have earned, prohibit seniors from enrolling in Social Security, and jeopardize the critical services and programs that American families rely on. Lastly, as co-chair of the Congressional Dyslexia Caucus, the Congresswoman introduced a resolution recognizing October 2024 as the National Dyslexia Awareness Month. As many of you know, the Congresswoman began her career in public service on the Santa Monica Malibu School Board, focusing her efforts on resources and positive learning environments for all children, including individuals with dyslexia like her daughter. 1 in 5 Americans are impacted by dyslexia despite its prevalence. Students are rarely tested, which prevents them from getting resources and accommodations. This month, the Congresswoman is in the district and is meeting with a number of local leaders and constituents during this October district work period. She most recently attended and participated in the city of Calabasas' October 7th commemoration. And then some important dates to note. Our office is now accepting submissions for our annual Congressional App Challenge. The Congresswoman encourages all coders in middle and high school throughout Ventura County and the Conejo Valley to submit their applications by Thursday, October 25th. And then our applications for the U.S. Service Academies are due tomorrow, which is going to be October 16th. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the Congresswoman for all of her good work. Now we will move on to our last item, which is an action item regarding Measure G. We heard from Supervisor Horvath earlier in our meeting, and this is an opportunity for our COG to take a formal position on this. I wanted to know if there's any questions or any discussion before someone makes a motion. I know many of us testified before the Board of Supervisors in support of this individually, so we felt it was appropriate to bring this before the COG. Does anyone want to make a motion in support of Measure G, which is the Los Angeles County Government Structures, Ethics, and Accountability Charter Amendment?
Penny Sylvester, I'll make a motion to approve the COG measure.
May I please?
Measure G.
Yes. May I please have a second?
I second.
Okay, Terry, may I ask you to take roll?
Yes. Aniko Gold,
Aye.
Kelly Honig,
Aye.
Penny Sylvester,
Aye.
President Weintraub.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Great. Thank you, everyone, for that support on that measure. Now we will move on. Are there any comments or requests for future agenda items?
I have one request that maybe is best for the spring. I would like to hear about how the no cash bail situation is working, and how that's happening. That's, I don't know that it's been long enough, but at some future point, maybe we could have a synopsis of that.
Absolutely. I'll leave that to Terry and then the next president, but we should definitely have that.
Which would be Penny, yes.
Yes, yes. Leave it to Terry and Penny. Okay, if there are not any further comments or requests, the TAC will meet on Wednesday, November 6th, if that meeting is needed. And then the governing board will meet on Tuesday, November 19th. Did we want to keep that meeting on Zoom? Was there any interest in doing something before the end of the year in person? Are we sticking to Zoom?
I'm always happy to meet, but it's up to the majority, right? I like to see.
You want to take a poll, Terry? Like we could do it offline. You want to just check with everyone?
Yeah.
Because maybe we do like our end. So after November, we still have a December meeting, or is that canceled?
We traditionally have not held the December meeting. It was always difficult to get a quorum.
Okay. So, and then January, And then it go, okay. Well, why don't you, we have time. So if you want to like just talk with everyone offline.
Okay.
I know there's been interest in getting together in person at some point, so we can see how that can work out. Great. Well, if there's no further business, we will adjourn this meeting.